Well, guys, I got a face cam, so hello. Uh-oh, I'm hitting my mic. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the PUP Revolt changes in a way. We're not just going to look directly at the PUP notes, but we're actually going to be looking at this post here I made about all the revolts. This is going to be like my script almost for this video, talking about what I like about the revolt changes, what I don't like. So I'm just going to get into it. Now before, I put in this post, before I get into this, I'm just going to say the perfect revolt to me is it should give you some kind of immediate benefit to either your military or economy. But due to missing most Age 5 economic and military upgrades, it should ultimately fall off and be worse than if you had just gone Age 5. Now the only exception to this is that just got a text, sorry. The only exception to that should just be in very specific, like, revolts and stuff. I'm okay with, like, if the game gets beyond, like, an hour, it ultimately becomes very powerful, like Argentina. Argentina does give an immediate boost, and then it does fall off for quite a while, but then it ultimately does really start catching up in the very, very, very late stages, and I'm okay with that. But I think that should be an outlier, not mainstream. So, first, oh my word. I'm so sorry, guys. Let me just silence that. So first I'm going to take a look at Argentina. They got several new cards. We got the Infinite 7 Lancers, that was added. 3 little Bombard shipment. We got a card called Criollos, which ships 22 Guard Consulate Musketeers, so it's just like Age 4 Musketeers with an extra 10%. Card called San Martin, which ships San Martin and some Granaderos, mounted Granaderos, as well as some Age 4 Consulate Dragoons. It has, let's see, they added Infinite 3 Mortars, which makes sense because you can get Imperial Mortars with Argentina. They added Flying Batteries to boost the mortars as well. Now, Flying Batteries was only available to the French Napoleon Revolution before, but it is added to this revolt now. I think it is meant to buff your mortars mostly. I don't know that the idea behind this was now Argentina has really good other cannons. But it's weird that it boosts mortars at all, because Flying Batteries, like that thing, is specifically speaking to like horse-drawn cannons. So it's a little weird that this card affects mortars in the first place. But I can get beyond that. I would suggest some kind of name change, maybe an icon change. If you want to add the effect of your mortars moving faster and shooting faster, that's fine. But the Flying Batteries name is a little bit weird. They added a card called Trattoria. That just adds, I think it just ships, let's see, I have it down here somewhere, down lower in the post. Yeah, it just ships some, the Lombards. It ships Lombards. It ships 2 Lombards and enables you to build a couple. And then they added Buenos Aires, which I believe is the capital of Argentina. I might get that wrong, but it's some city, and that gives you 3 taverns and some 3 tavern-like wagons. That allows you to build 3 then. And it also allows 3 trade post wagons. So those are all the new cards. Now, some of these I like, and some of these I don't like. My first problem is little Bombards. Now, they also added El Medi, but that was a bug that Spain didn't have access to them. They do now in the public update preview, but I'll have to throw that in there as well. My first problem is the little Bombards and El Medi shipment, which, as you might have, it gives you access to Lombards and the 3 taverns, and that is a nod to Italian immigration in Argentina. And I'm fine with that, but little Bombards and El Medi just seem like a bit much. I understand maybe a few buildings from Italy and stuff, but I could not find anywhere, I didn't, do a ton of research on, the exact history of, were there any cannons or whatever, which there were some cannons, obviously, but little Bombards are big Bombards, honestly. So I find it a little bit weird to stick them into this revolt, but I don't think it's a necessary shipment either. The revolt's going to be a lot of fun and do a lot of cool things without it, so Lil Bombards and El Medi, I don't think either of those need to be in this revolt. Because I don't I don't think historically they were really there, and they're not needed to represent Italy. Like, you have other cards that add that nice representation. I already mentioned Flying Battery, what I think of it. Criollas. Now, this is fun. So, Criollas is basically just like Spanish immigrants, kind of like Spanish immigrants. Not the card, but in real life, they were like Spanish immigrants or pure blood, semi-pure blood. Basically, they're Spanish descendants or direct immigrants to Latin America. So that's where Criollas come from. So this card gives you Spanish Musketeers, which are just consular musketeers, and I'm okay with that. I do find it just a little bit weird to represent like immigrants and Spanish people in Latin America to directly cause Spanish musketeers to be... It unlocks them in your fort. It allows you to build these Age 4 consulate musketeers. I don't hate it. I think there's a better way to represent like Spanish immigrants coming over than musketeers that you can train at your fort. But I'm not sure what would be better. Maybe someone else can... I think maybe later in this this forum we're looking at, someone mentioned something. But I'm okay with that in principle. I wish that there was some way to upgrade them to Age 5, because it is a pretty expensive card, and they also slow trainly only from forts. You can only train these Spanish Musketeers, which if you're playing Spain, then you're training Spain Spanish Musketeers. It's a whole mix-up thing. It's a little weird, and it's supposed to like replace your Musketeers in your fort, but it doesn't actually, so now you just have 2 Musketeers. It's all mixed up. I would suggest that they fix some of this up and maybe change the card a little bit, but that's whatever. Other than that, I like most Argentina Revolt. It's a lot of fun. I've made the video Argentina's mounted Granadaras and Gauchos. They're very good late game, and they're just absolutely insane. You can do crazy things with it, and I think I've called the Mongolia Simulator before, because it's just a bunch of ranged cav, and it's hilarious. But mounted Grenadaros, the way they are in game, is nothing like what mounted Grenadaras were. Actually, they are still a thing now, and they're still not that. Mounted Grenadaras are still a like unit or a military group in Argentina, and no, they didn't throw grenadiers. Like, the Grenadaras here, because it has grenade in their name, the developers decided that they should throw grenades, but unlike Grenadiers, Grenadaros never threw grenades, as far as I can tell. They were more like cuirassiers, or very heavy cavalry. They were not grenade throwers. And they're very good hand attack. Now, the battles they were in were, one, due to large part of charges, very melee focused. So having them being so bad at melee like they are in the game right now is a little bit strange, and it's just all mixed up. So I would suggest that they change Grenadaros themselves. Number one, because they're not really bounceable. They're either worthless or they get to a critical mass and you can't kill them. So they're a bit of an issue right now. So I would suggest that they change that unit as a whole, turn it into some type of special heavy cavalry, rather than whatever the heck it is now. Because whatever the heck it is right now is just not right, and it's also, while it's fun, it's not super balanceable. So that's all I gotta say about Argentina. So overall, change Flying Battery, change Grenadaros. Criollas is fine. You could buff it to where you can upgrade them thing. But there might be a better way to do it. And Lil Bombards and El Neti, I think, should be removed. It's just it's a little too much, almost. Brazil. So they added Feitorias and a card called Rio de Janeiro. That's the first one. So that means that I think it's only, let's see, Italy, Portuguese, and Dutch all have access to the Brazil Revolt. So that means, while Portuguese will usually have Feitorias at that point, that means after you do the Brazil Revolt, Dutch and Italy will be able to use Feitorias, that's pretty fun. Rio de Janeiro will ship will enable you to build a capital. It's bugged right now. The capital doesn't have any upgrades, but I'm assuming it won't have all the upgrades there. You definitely won't get spies, you won't get blockade, but you may be able to get like a couple of the eco upgrades and your explore upgrades for cheaper than you usually would. So I like that. They added infinite 10 Cassadors. These are just Age 4 Cassadors, infinite shipment of 10 of them, and they don't benefit from really any upgrades, and they are actually separate from your Cassadors. So if you have a mass of Cassadors already as Portuguese, and you ship this card, it just gives you 6 guard, or 10 guard Cassadors. It doesn't upgrade all your other Cassadors too. All your other Cassadors will still be at whatever level they were at before. The 6 Soldado shipment I like. They did a nice work on them. They're Imperial Age looking, like their skin is. But they do speak Portuguese, which is fun. And they're very cool. They're Age 4 Soldados that look awesome. So I really like that infinite shipment as well. Let's see what else was there. There was some other things. There was a card called Bonificio. I think that's what it is. It ships twice. It is bugged right now, but it's supposed to ship twice. It increases your yield for mines and should also ship 2 silver mine wagons. So that's pretty fun. I like that. There's a card called Brazilian Imports, which ships 5 infrastructure wagons, I believe. And it will also make that shipment and all shipments after that will arrive faster. So that's pretty cool. It's kind of like getting the Imperial Age upgrade. In Imperial Age, all your shipments arrive faster after, so it's a bit like that, but it is stronger than even going Imp with how fast your shipments will ship then. They added a shipment that it's called Wildlife. It's supposed to ship, I believe, 15 capybaras and 5 jaguars. Right now, it only ships 10 cappies and 5 jaguars, but it has, like, the number 20 on it, so that's all bugged and weird out. I'm fine with that, though. You know, it's just hunting some jags. That's fun. But I do like them. The Soldado and the Castador shipment are both bugged right now, to where even though they're infinite, they're not purple. Their outline isn't. So that is a problem. There's also an Akan shipment. I struggle a little bit, but apparently there were Akan warriors brought over. So if there actually were Akan warriors brought over from Africa to Brazil, then I'm fine with them staying. But if not, if that was not a thing, I'd rather that not be a shipment. But I'm not sure about that. Plus, that shipment is everywhere, so I'm not like a super big fan of it. Literally, it's in tons of revolts, tons of decks. I'm not, and it's not that great of a shipment. I just don't like it. So I wouldn't put anywhere that's not necessary. Independence Guards, or Independence Dragoons, sorry. They give all your goon units very good hand attack, but remove all their multipliers. Now they stay Age 4, so don't worry, you won't have Imperial Age Portuguese Dragoons that have 50 hand attack. Now they do have like 50 hand attack or 40 hand attack, but they don't have like imp level ranged attack and hit points. So they're very strong. If they catch your skirms off guard, your skirms will die, but they are not overpowered. One problem I do have is that card doesn't change. It doesn't like replace Reuters in your stable. So it allows you to train the Independence Goons and Reuters. It also gives your Reuters this high hand attack. So it's a little weird. I wish it would just replace it in the stable. Not replace the ones you have on the map. That would be busted. But replace the Reuters in your stable, so then only they were trainable there. That's one thing I would suggest there. But overall, I like Independence Dragoons. Going to take a little bit of a look at Peru a little later. I don't have quite the information on... I didn't have the information on that when I posted that. But a guy named Cuso, he is a Peruvian, and he has a post about that, which we'll take a look at. Hungary. So Hungary has added a new card. It's called Kovat's Legion, and it ships 15 Magyar Hussars. It also turns all your Hussars into Magyar Hussars, and enables you to train them at the fort. It also gives them a 15% HP boost, all your Hussars. So overall, I like this shipment, but I don't like the name. Because Kovat didn't have a legion. Now, this is Kovat back when he was in Hungary. He did come to US later, and he did train American cavalry then. But at this point, while he was a captain, he didn't really have a legion. So I find the name Kovat's Legion just a little bit off. I wish what I want them to do here is to change it like what they did to to San Martin. San Martin, they added him. It ships him as a hero, as well as like goons and the Grenadaras. So I think a better way to do this shipment is just call it Michael Kovat de Fabricas, or however you say his name. Just Michael Kovat. It ships him and some Magyar Hussars and enables them. You don't have to have the Kovat's Legion name, because that's just not right. Plus, I think adding Michael Kovat's as a unit could be fun, just like they did with San Martin. Also, there is an interesting thing with Russia, which is now that Age 4, you once again gain access to the 17 Hussars. They are changed now to, or the Basker Pony type units, they're called Georgian Hussars. It's going to be an Age 4 shipment that costs 2,000 coin, and ships Georgian Hussars, which are Age 4 Consulate Hussars. They have a unique skin. They're very cool. Weirdly, they overwrite the skin design of Magyar Hussars, even though you ship the Georgian Hussars first. And also, you must send the Georgian Hussars to get the guard upgrade. So if you just go straight to Magyar Hussars, they won't be near as good as if you had done Georgian Hussars first. Which is just, that's not how any other upgrades really work, except for the Independence Guards for Gran Colombia. So that is a little bit confusing. And for Ottomans, it does give you the fully upgraded Magyar Hussars. So it's inconsistent between civs. So that's something they do need to fix. And for Maltese, it doesn't replace your Order Hussars. There's a little mix-up here. Hopefully the devs look at this post and fix these bugs that I mentioned here. I don't think I need to mention them all in this video, but I do like that. I do enjoy building Magyar Hussars, and I hope they fix some of these. Just a second. Oh, my voice is going out. Romania. They changed, so Romania has a card that ships an embassy wagon and enables, like, Greek units, boyars and fanar, or, the really good against heavy infantry skirmisher. Both of those, it enables you to build them for pop cost, with no build limit, but they cost pop. I do like those. The only problem is to effectively use those units, you'd have to go Age 4, Revolt, ship a card after you Revolt to build a wagon, that gives you a wagon to build this building that only enables Age 3 units. Now, you can't upgrade them yourself to Age 4 units. You can get their guard upgrade, but then they're maxed out at Age 4 units. So it's a lot of steps to get not really great units. So I think they could rework that a little bit. Either make it to where it's automatically aged up to, or rather, make it where it's already upgraded to Age 4 status, like guard status, or make it to where, yes, you have to get the Age 4 upgrade, but you can also get the Imperial Age upgrade, giving you, like, Imperial Boyars, which would be quite fun, I think. And I don't think it would be overpowered. Rosier Dragoons are useless. They are Dragoons, but they have 15% less HP. And, but they lose 15% HP, but they gain 15% attack and some speed. Now, they are very fast. They're not like Lakota fast, but they're fast. But I don't know why Romania, they have the same problem with Wallachian Horse Archers, is that they have to lose stats to gain stats for some reason. This is something no other, other than the Independence Guards for Gran Colombia, no other unit that comes with a Revolt, like special unit, has to lose stats to gain stats. Magyar's Hussars just give you 100% HP. Hussars of Death give 100% attack. I forget there are others. Independence Guards, they just give you more hand attack. All these things, they're just flat improvements. But the Rosier Dragoon really isn't any better than normal Dragoons. And the Wallachian Horse Archer is actually worse. I'm not sure how you say that. I think it's Wallachian or something. It's actually worse because you're losing 33% HP. It minuses your HP on your Cav Archers by 33% and only gets their DPS up to that of a Imperial Age Horse Archer. That's just not necessary because, I mean, Hussars of Death, like, okay, Hussars of Death have more hand attack. Hussars of Death have Age 4 stats on their HP, and better than Age 5 stats on their hand attack. But these Wallachian Horse Archers have just Imperial stats on. They're not better than Imp. They're Imperial Age stats on their range attack, but they have like Age 3 stats on hit points. Like they go from Age 4 stats to Age 3 stats, maybe even worse than Age 3 stats. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what the purpose of that is, and ultimately they're just not as good. They're worse than your Horse Archers, because the good thing about Horse Archers is their HP. So you're really losing what you need. Canada had a lot of changes, a lot of good changes. They added a Native Warrior conscription card, which makes natives cheaper. Canada is very native focused, Native American focused, but the problem is that this Native Warrior conscription card pairs up with the Native Warriors card, so your Native Warriors end up being way too cheap. So I definitely would either make that card just make them cheaper by less or something like that, because being able to train a bunch of Native Warriors for they're literally like 50 resources, like a Kree tracker. It's just too much. It's too cheap. The Fencibles card, I like that card in the last update. In a way, it gives you basically slightly worse Age 4 Musketeers and gives them more range, and while also making them cheaper. I like this idea of maybe not higher stats, but more range and cheaper. But it only gives them 14 range, which is just that of a regular. And, it's just not great. They're not a great unit. And that's fine. But I think they could make the Fencibles card give 16 range. They could give 16 range and maybe make the stats slightly worse. Or maybe make them slightly more expensive, and I think it would make them more unique, but not into the realms of OP or anything. Right now, it's also bugged to where there's 2 Fencible cards, so you can get 50 resource costing Musketeers with 16 range. That's what gave me the idea of 16 range, is because right now it's bugged, but I hope they fix that. Yeah. They added infinite 12 skirms. I think these are guard skirms. So even if you're playing British, you should just be able to ship this and you get 12 guard skirms. They added infinite 4 war canoes. I think this may be 5, but the icon is bugged. That's fun. They added a card called Quebec, which ships a fort and enables forts to conscript militia, which, if you know anything about Canada, it's very militia focused. They added a more hunting focus, so now they have a card to where when they hunt animals or gather from trees, they get slow trickle of coin. I like that. Very fun. They added a Lenape shipment. Now, I don't like Lenapes because the Warcry charged attack has a terrible animation, so you're actually taking way more damage than is worth. So I think that's just a problem with the Lenape themselves, but a 22 Native Warrior skirm shipment isn't bad in itself. They also added Canadian Royalist, which is 10 Consulate Age 4 Dragoons. This is also available, 4,000 food. This is also available to the Haudenosaunee. I think Canadian Royalists could be differed a little bit like Counter Dragoons. I wouldn't make them Counter Dragoons. There's a problem with that name in itself. But I think they could be changed a little bit to where there's something special about them. Maybe because it's just an infinite shipment. That's the only way to access these for both Haudenosaunee and this Revolt. So I think they could be a little more special than just plain Age 4 goons. Consulate, but still. Haiti. Haiti, there's controversy over this. Some people don't like the pirate theme. I'm okay. I kind of like the pirate theme. Island of Tortuga, which was right next to Haiti, was a pirate hotspot, and I think it's just kind of fun. But I would definitely suggest leaning more into what was realistic about the Haiti Revolt. Obviously, Microsoft tries to keep it pretty PC, so they're not going to add cards about, the massacres that the slaves did when they revolted and all that. But you don't have to do that. You can just add units that have guns and stuff, which is what the people revolting did have. So that's fun. I think they could just probably Haiti's fine. They just I think could add a bit more influence based off of the actual Haitian Revolution, because they also have this card African Roots. I have a little bit issue with this, which is that you ship this African Roots card and it allows you to either choose a Khan or Yoruba and then train those. Now, the idea being that basically these African slaves who revolted are, like, going back to their roots and throwing spears and stuff, but I don't think that actually happened. I couldn't find anything to where, like, they did go back to their roots and they fought in the style of, like, the Akan or Yoruba or whatever. So I think that card could be, like, you can have, like, an African roots card, but I don't think its bonus should be adding, like, trainable Yoruba, because I don't think that's not realistic at all, or historical. But that's not a necessary change. It's just a little nitpick, and I think there's same with like Argentina's Grenadaras. I think there's a better way to represent their African roots, and also represent their revolt better. So that's it. South Africa had good changes. Just nerfed them a bit, made their War Wagon card a bit more costly and stuff like that. USA, they made Knowlton Rangers worse, which I guess is fine. I didn't think they were busted, but they were kind of annoying. But I think that's a fine fix to nerf them some. Just like they have less attack and stuff now, which is I'm perfectly happy with that. Let me get a drink. Some chai. USA also, they still have, when you ship the Washington Grenadiers, it's still kind of mixed up, which is that in the fort, after you ship Washington Grenadiers, it doesn't replace your Grenadiers that you already have there. So you are able to still train Age 2 Grenadiers, and also these Age 4 Consulate Washington Grenadiers. It's just a little mix-up, and if you're playing as civs like British, and you have your Grenadiers upgraded all the way, then you can either train your British Grenadiers or your Washington Grenadiers, and the Washington ones are just objectively worse. So it's all mixed up. It's a little weird. I think there could definitely be some fixes there. Let's see, someone mentioned Peru here. Where is this? Someone was arguing that Haiti Revolt could just be more of a catch-all Caribbean revolt, in which there were a lot of Akan soldiers and stuff, but, you know, maybe if the design is that Haiti represents all these Caribbean revolts, and therefore there's Akans, I guess I'm fine with that. But if there's better ways to represent them, I definitely still would. And this guy right here, Conoric, he mentioned what I said about the Argentina mounted Grenadaros, which is that they should be more like a heavy cav. I would also I would push them to add something a little bit to San Martin himself. He is cool, he has HP and stuff, but he gives no boost to your units, which feels like a little bit of a letdown, which I get it. You want to worry about scaling and stuff, but it's kind of just to keep it consistent with other revolutionary heroes. I think that's it for this one. I think I'll exit this, and we'll take a look at what Kuso said about the Peru Revolt. First of all, Peru Revolt, what it has right now is it's basically Inca 1.5. So after shipping a card, right now with the Peru Revolt, you gain access to this hero that can train, he's like the Inca war chief, basically. And he can drop a Incan fortress, and from that fortress you can train Age 4 Incan units, Age 5 Harakas, and all this stuff. And it's just very Incan, which I get the idea. The idea was, oh, well, you know, Peru was where the Incans were, but the Peru Revolt and the Incans are separate things. There were Incans that helped in different revolts in Peru and stuff, but they should be separated because Inca has its own Revolt card in its deck as well. So I definitely think it should be very much more accurate to the actual Peru Revolt, the later Peru Revolts, rather than just this weird 1.5 Inca. But Kuso mentions here that monumental architecture, that those monumental architectures, those were all built before those were all built by the Incans. So it's kind of weird to send a card while you're playing as like a Peru, like the Viceroyalty of Peru or whatever it's called. I forget its name. You're not playing as Inca, so having monumental architecture, which gives you a bunch of HP and makes your TCs have more damage, is a little weird. Alpaca wool, that adds HP and armor to your vills. That's fine. I definitely agree with that. And the 6 priestesses and Team 2 priestesses, those were long gone by the time of the Peruvian Revolt. So he suggests they remove them, but that they add basically this like ladies like this who could replace this, called curanderos. I'm just going to say it that way. I'm sorry if I got this wrong. Not sorry. Rambonas right here. Rambonas. That's what I'm going to say. Which were basically the wives of soldiers that supported them as they went and revolted and all this stuff, and they even helped some. So he just suggests, you can definitely go read this about the Peruvian Revolt forum, and he suggests that they replace the priestesses. Team Seasonal Labor, I forget what this is, but he mentions here it doesn't really have anything to do with Peru specifically, but I mean, if it doesn't have anything to do with Peru specifically, but Peru did have this, I think it's fine to have it then as a card. But he mentions that this card could be replaced by enabling a few cancha houses to be built, which he says was something that they were still doing at the time. They were still utilizing cancha houses. Andean Warriors, I think I mentioned this. This is an infinite 6 Harakas. It's just a little weird because Harakas weren't really being used in the Peruvian Revolt, so maybe they're trying to represent Inca, but that just wasn't really a thing. He suggests that they be replaced by infinite 6 Soldados, which is kind of fun, and is the same thing that Brazil has. And American allies right now, I think, what does it give you? I could check this. Anyway, the American allies, I forget what it does right now. I think it upgrades something or gives you access to some natives, but he suggests that a card be added or whatever that gives you access to the Cachua. Cachua, that's how I'm going to say it. Oh, American allies. It's like the card that the Inca has, Age 1, that ships an embassy wagon that allows you to choose between 3. He suggests that just be made to send the native embassy, and it automatically gives access to just the Cachua, who did help in a lot of the revolts. So you'd still have access to extra speed on your infantry and stuff like that, and extra train time, or faster train time, but not give you access to, like, I think it's the Carib and one of the others. Machu Picchu, this is a card in the Peru Revolt in the PUP, and it ships a stronghold. As Kuso mentions here, Machu Picchu wasn't even discovered at this point. People didn't really know it existed. So and it wasn't even a stronghold. It was just a city up on a mountain. So having a Machu Picchu shipment that ships you a stronghold at a time when the Peruvians didn't even really know it existed is just weird. He suggests it can be replaced by a Sacsayhuaman. I'm butchering all these names, I'm sorry. But that was an actual fortress that was used in the revolutions that was next to the city of Cusco. Remove Manco Inca. That was a revolutionary. This is the shipment that gives you... This shipment is called Manco Inca right now in the PUP. It ships you the Inca Explorer and allows you to build strongholds and stuff. And it also ships those guys that sound funny and swing maces from Inca. It ships a bunch of them, and it ships the rods, Age 4 rods. So he argues that should be a an Inca revolt instead. The Manchu Inca should be a shipment for Inca rather than for this, because it was at an earlier time frame when it was more Inca focused. But he suggests that the revolt Inca has now should be moved over to this revolt. So in a little bit different way. So the Tupac Amaru Revolt. So he suggests the Manco Inca, which if you look in the PUP, like I said, it ships him and some units, should be replaced with the Tupac Amaru Revolt. And it, instead of turning like Incan units into European units, it would change like your European units or whatever to more Incan styled units, though maybe with guns and stuff. But like maybe like Cruzab dress and stuff like that like the Mayan Revolt has. He suggests that it enable a stronghold and enables you to train and ship Harakas and stuff. I'm not sure that's necessary. Maybe. That's fine. I'm fine with that. Definitely, I'm not being super detailed here on everything he says. Like I said, you can go read what he put. But that's whatever. They added a card called Lima to their Peru Revolt, which ships a cathedral, which, as he mentions, is very real. Peru has lots of cathedrals and big, beautiful ones, and he says that's a good one. But he doesn't like that it has Mexican text in it still. It's just differently named Mexican card. So it still has the Mexican text in there, so you can get like Insurgentes and Mexican upgrades there that don't affect you at all, I don't think. So it's a little weird to have those. It was also a 33 Insurgentes card, which I'm actually somewhat okay with that, because Insurgentes, as far as I remember, were everywhere. But he suggests that, I think he suggests that they be replaced with... Yeah, he just suggests that they get rifles and be called something else, basically. Okay, here's a couple of cards, because he didn't just say all these cards are bad. He wants to add a few cards as well, which these seem like a good one. Philippe Fortress. I don't know if I got that right. But it ships 1 fort wagon and increases the hit points of buildings, half the effect of monumental architecture. So you will ultimately, with these cards he's adding, you will ultimately get monumental architecture just through other more realistic cards. And then also Castles of Callao. Ships 2 fort wagons and increases the attack of town centers, which is the other half of monumental architecture. Fortresses and outposts, especially against ships. Peruvian society to develop more on the coast rather than the highlands, so it makes sense to at least give protection to their fishing. So I guess he's suggesting Peru should be fairly water-based, which makes sense, at least as far as I know of Peruvian history. So that would be 3 forts, 2 strongholds, so it'd still be a fairly turtley revolt in the very late games. Obviously, right when you do it, you would get a bunch of units and you attack. But if like the game goes on long enough, or if you're playing in free-for-alls or treaty, whatever, you would be a very turtley civ, which is kind of cool. With very real Peruvian units, like the one he mentions here, the Hussars de Junin, which this was a cavalry regiment that was crucial for the liberation of Peru, and they're even still a thing to this day. This would upgrade them to Junin Hussars, your Hussars to Junin Hussars, a variant that would be weaker than Chilean Hussars of Death, which are a very fun unit. So they'd probably be like Age 4 Hussars, but with a charged attack, and maybe a faster attack or whatever. So it's just a unique Hussar that I keep clicking things. Besides that, I would add... Oh, these are some... I don't know that many of these are possible, but he suggests... I think it's kind of like a whale shipment, something Mexico has for some reason. He suggests Llama Ranch, which allows you to train llamas. And I don't think this one's really possible. But let me know what y'all think. The rest of this is basically him arguing, comparing this revolt to other new revolts or other revolt changes, and why it's not historic, whereas the others are. This is the Peruvian revolt right now. So you can go read that for yourself. Let me know what y'all think. what you think of the revolts, what you want changed. I hope y'all enjoy this. Like I said, this is a very different video, very different style, but I very much love using revolts and playing them. So I do hope that they get worked on some to be more historically accurate. And also, I think people often place historical accuracy against fun, and I think that's true in some circumstances. But for me personally, historical accuracy and fun go together. In a lot of circumstances, like the Grenadaros. Sure, the Grenadaros are fun, but I think they could be more fun if they were more historically accurate. So overall, that's my views on those things. Y'all can let me know what y'all think of the revolts, and so I think that's it. Be seeing y'all.